Good evening and a warm welcome to a cooked tour with Rocket and our first destination, the Basque Country. My name is Charlie Grant-Peterkin and I am joined by our master, Ryan Stafford. Good evening, Ryan.
Evening, Charlie. How are you?
I'm extremely well and extremely excited. How are you?
You know what, I've got to really focus on not saying super excited all the time, but I don't think there's a word. I'm going to have to look for a new one. I'm ready and I'm really excited. There you go.
Good. Very quickly, a cook's tour with Rocket. Why?
You know, I've been thinking about this. It's one of those things, isn't it? We had a great summer. We had a great idea, a little bit mad at times, but we had a series one, a masterclass. Now going in, it felt natural. I remember the conversation on the train with you and I talking about names, where we were going to go, and it felt natural. A cook's tour. We're going to take you to all the places you want to be right now. We're going to start in an incredible intro edition, which is Basque Country in our first class now. And yeah, it's just, we want to take you on a journey. We want to get you there, taste, learn some new skills on the way, and the research that I've been doing as well. I can't wait to pass that over to you guys and of course you, Charlie.
Brilliant. So I think I'm allowed to say I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should get moving then. So the rules, ladies and gentlemen, you are of course encouraged and welcome to cook along with Ryan. However, if you'd rather, you're more than welcome to watch the show and then cook along later. We will be pausing throughout so we can catch our breath and also allows me to fire a few questions at Ryan. We also have the ability to rewind. So if you need to pause for a second, you can do that, or you can rewind and catch a top tip from Ryan that you might have missed. And of course, there's also the live chat function. So please use that to ask any questions, and our team at Rocket will respond. Great, and lastly, as before, please do post photographs of your delicious creations using the hashtag #CookWithRocket. We can't wait to see what you manage to conjure up in the next hour or so. Okay, so Ryan, let's get cooking, and let's start by talking about the dishes and the ingredients that we've got to look forward to today.
Yes, most definitely. So we've got some amazing ingredients. And Charlie, I promised on this, true to the name of Cook's Tour, we were going to go through with some not just traditional techniques, not some just traditional ingredients or recipes, but some beautiful food as well. And hopefully some things that are going to be comforting. You know, the season is here and we're starting to enjoy our food, the richer flavours. And you know, with that said, I'll start with the first dish, which is a typical dish that you would find in Basque Country. So we've got some absolutely amazing veal cheeks. Now this is cooked in cider, apples, carrot, some herbs in there. The recipe is going to be included with your box, but we've gone and done that because it's just one of those things that takes a long time, 3 to 4 hours cooking, really sexy, really tender. And to finish out, we've got some lovely walnuts, some carrot tops to add a little bit of savouriness. We've got some an English rustic apple, just because it's nice and seasonal, some lemon just to keep that from browning. And then on to the next dish. This is the one that you had a lot of questions about, so really looking forward to showing you this. We've got a burnt Basque cheesecake. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but we've got a premix there, so it's nice and simple, which we put together at Rocket. We've got some lovely black figs, really seasonal, and a nice little pané bois, which is a lovely little kind of sustainable wicker basket. We're going to put that mix in, pop it in the oven, and voila, out comes a beautiful cheesecake. And then we've got almost like a little tapas. It's pinchos, true to the name of Basque Country. We've got some lovely chestnut tortana, which is a nice chewy sourdough, perfect for laying a little bit of these seasonal tomatoes on. So we've got here late summer tomatoes, you'll see. Late summer for me, really interesting because really big, slightly unripe, slightly overripe, really meaty, juicy tomatoes. And to finish the pinchos, we've got some white anchovies pickled, some lemon, some olives, and some seasonal herbs. How's it sounding?
Sounding good so far.
Good, isn't it?
There's still 2 dishes to go.
So the next dish is a classic Basque Country dish. It's hongos. So hongos literally translates just to mushrooms in Basque. So we've got a nice little savoury butter here, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of savoury herb, with a little bit of garlic to finish. And then we've got some beautiful, which we'll talk a lot more about those later, absolutely beautiful seasonal mushrooms with a nice little egg in there.
Amazing. So we're going to have a little masterclass around mushroom prep and mushroom cooking.
It's one of those, when I first got this idea for this dish, I thought, is it enough? But the skill and technique that you're going to get from this, you're never ever going to cook mushrooms like you did before. You're going to be a master, and I'm going to show you how. And to end, I mean, a true comfort food for me any kind of Basque Country, Spanish restaurant, any kind of journey that I've had or holiday experience has always involved croquettes. So we've got some absolutely incredible croquettes here and a nice little chutney to finish, which I think just works in harmony with the, with the lovely setup that we've got here.
Brilliant, great. Well, okay, everyone at home, I hope that you've managed to just run through all the ingredients, and if you can, just take a moment just to organise your ingredients into these piles. Then as we'll go through with Ryan cooking each course by course as we go. We're going to start with the veal cheek, are we not?
We are. So now would be a great time to get yourself on. I've got a nice pan of water here. That's, I'm just going to turn that on. And we just want to get a pan of water, probably about half a litre of water, and we just want to bring that up just before the boil. Now, we talked a little bit about why this is in the most incredible sustainable packaging. Did we, didn't we? Don't think we did, but we just did now. And then the reason we put it in here is so that we can touch on a little bit of technique as well. Sous vide. Heard much about sous vide?
Well, it's sort of boil in the bag, isn't it? Or
it is.
Water bathing.
You've got some of the really big brands that mastered this in the 60s or 70s, and it was a way that the chefs, like myself and a lot of Michelin restaurants and stuff, they sous vide stuff to lock in the juices, keep the product exactly how it was intended to be served.
But it had a very bad rep, didn't it?
It did, kind of like microwave in a bag, and it's coming back. You see a lot of rice companies using it and stuff, get like perfect kind of cooked rice. But we thought, just get all the hard work done for you, and we're going to put it in a little bag for you, sous vide, and as that water's coming up, we can just pop it straight in with the sticker as well into that water. Just double check that it's sealed. It should be, just so we don't have any accidents. We end up ringing for a takeaway with no beef. So pop that in, and we're just looking for that, Charlie, just to come up slowly with the heat. It's going to be absolutely delicious. That's how the team and myself at Rocket wanted it to be.
Great.
And like I said, when you look at the recipe, it's a 3 to 4 hour cook. So a lot of the hard work done, and we will come
So
back.
that can just do its thing now for what, sort of 30 minutes, 35 minutes?
30, 35 minutes, or until we're ready for it. That can just be ticking over there. So just relax. The beef is done. And then we're going to go on to the garnish a little bit. So we talked about the garnish. We've got a lovely, and really, really big, and you'll find in your box, you may have an apple that doesn't look like this, slightly different size. We work with an incredible company called Natura, and they have what they call the rustic seasonal English apple. These are from Lambourne, English. They'll be going to Kent soon, so on and so on. So if you do have an apple looking slightly different, don't worry about that. Okay. But I mean, look at that, straight out of a Disney film. Absolutely beautiful. So this has had a wash already. We're going to make some lovely little matchsticks out of that. Now, in the instructions equipment, I've instructed to have a tablespoon of citrus. And the citrus can be lime, orange, got something in the fruit bowl in front of you, just grab it. Any citrus will do. It's the acidity that we're looking just to acidulate the water, which makes it a little bit acid-like.
Could be vinegar too.
Could be vinegar as well, just go great with the dish, a little bit of cider vinegar for all you chefs out there, or some brandy vinegar, white, red, or dare I say it, a little bit of fish and chip vinegar if you've got it, will do the job. So we're going to cut some matchsticks out of this. I'm going to use one of these lemons just because we've got loads of sexy lemons here. Later on, we'll come back to finish the beef dish, which will be the walnuts, which we're just going to hand crush. We're just going to pop those over the dish at the end, as with the carrot tops, which have been washed. So I do have a little look at those, but we've washed them for you here at Rocket. So let's crack on. If you do have any questions, Charlie, as well.
I will, I'll fire away. I'm also just looking ahead at what we've got lined up, and I'm wondering whether we should just flip the oven on for the cheesecake mix.
You know what, we said this in the last series, you do make a great assistant. Yeah. We're going to have to look at promotion to junior sous level for you, I think, mister.
Well, again, it will be written in your prep before the class, but do have your oven on now if it's not already. So it's up to
220,
220, okay.
230 if you can get it, and that's going to be for the cheesecake, which we will come to. So we'll just do this garnish a couple of minutes, and we'll come to the cheesecake.
Great.
So just before, if you have got any questions, just before you go into that, Charlie, we just want to do some lovely, you can just see on the overhead cam, lovely little slices. Careful not to take your fingers off. I will not be too chefy. This would be done usually in no time. And we just want to get 2 or 3 pieces, and we just want to run the knife through. Said not too chefy, just get a little bit of speed. How's that?
Very good. Yeah, I'm just terrified for your fingers.
So, have you got a little bowl, Charlie?
Yeah, I do.
Just, you don't really need too much. We're very generous here at Rocket. We just thought we'd give you a big old apple, or a little small Disney one like this one. But we just need literally a couple of tablespoons. Nice little matchsticks here. So as you can see, perfectly white. And you'll notice from these as well, Charlie, just grab a little piece of that.
Can I try one?
You certainly can. You'll notice it's compact, it's sweet, it's compact because it's slow grown, and this is what I'm saying about the size. They don't really care when they're grown rustic, sustainable apples. They just pick big ones, small ones. There's no grading that goes on, and the apples are ready when they're happy. They're ready when they're ready, hence why we just have different apples when they come instead of forcing a certain apple at all times of the year. So really big fan of that kind of...
I love that. And we just trail the country looking for the apples whenever they're
yeah,
ready
and
to go.
as a chef as well, you know, I have a lot of buying power and stuff, and it's nice to be in line with the environment a little bit as much as we can. Okay, so if you would be an absolute diamond, we can pop the rest of that there. We don't need that. Just love lemon citrus. It's just one of those things for me. It really, really livens me up.
Gets you going.
It does. If you just want a little bit of squeeze in there, there's no seeds, so don't worry, and then just pop a little bit of water. Probably about a good tablespoon of acid in there, like I said, if you're using vinegar or citrus, pop that in first. And probably just enough water just to cover the apples. And if you do...
Pass me with the water there.
Yep. If you do notice a little bit of discolouring, as you would see if you kind of punched an apple, not that I've ever punched one before or bitten into one, just add a little bit more acidity to that. That would be good. So beef's on. There's our apples for later. Walnuts we're just going to hand crush later. And we're doing a little bit, do you know what a gremolata is?
Describe it. It's a sort of a nutty sort of herby mix, isn't it?
It is, and my kind of style is to take lots of inspiration from different cuisines and then kind of say, well, gremolata is traditionally Italian, but a gremolata consists usually of garlic, some citrus, some kind of herb, and sometimes a nut. So if you're having venison, grouse, chicken, pork, or beef in this instance, you can really change it to whichever way you want. It can be just ripped up. It can be chopped really fine. So again, the gremolata today will consist of the carrot tops, the apple, the acidity to cut through there, work with the cider that we've cooked the beef in, but really add a crisp kind of fresh finish to such a rich braised beef. So there's a nice little contrast there, keep the palate nice and excited. A little bit of texture coming from the walnuts. And again, really autumnal. Dish one, pretty much done.
Great, good. Just tell me very quickly why we're using veal cheek.
Veal.
And, well, is it sort of a Basque national dish, if you like?
It is. Whether I can put the stamp of it being a national dish, Charlie, or not is it could be. My experience. I've been to San Sabastian and Bilbao twice. San Sebastian 3 or 4 times. Driven there a couple of times. Flown straight into there just for a bit of a gastronomic experience.
Yeah.
But every time I've gone, I've seen veal cheek. I've always gone in the autumn and winter. So, but it's everywhere in loads of different kind of disguises and main meals, tapas, stewed.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful, yeah, and it is a traditional dish cooked in Basque Country. They like a lot of stews, but beef cooked in cider is a biggie, and I love it. It's absolutely dreamy.
Brilliant. Righty-ho, so hopefully everyone is up to speed at home and you've matchsticked your apple and have that sitting in water with a touch of lemon or vinegar just to prevent it from going brown. And we're going to move on to the Basque Cheesecake, which I am super excited by.
We are. You're just trying to get me with that one now. Okay, so we've got burnt Basque cheesecake. As I said, it's a little bit of, you a cheesecake man?
Yeah, I love it.
Do you know what? Cheesecake.
Not good on the old waist though, is it?
Cheesecake it's not really, no. I'm one of those with sweets, a little piece of chocolate. I like pickled fruit.
Little piece?
What are you saying? So basically the cheesecake mixer we've sent you is the most simplest recipe. When you check it out, if you have already, you'll see that it's just cream cheese. Got a little bit of egg in there. I've replaced the sugar in there, which you can replace with honey. And it just adds a real nice kind of floral note going through the cheese. For me, maple syrup in yogurt, some kind of sweetness, sweet sour thing in yogurt, is one of my favourite flavour combinations. And this is a perfect example. Jammy, tangy, sweet figs with this cheesecake mix, which is 4 or 5 ingredients, a little bit of cornstarch in there. And you're probably thinking, I haven't got cornstarch, doesn't sound like I need it. Very, very important if you make this recipe again. It kind of stops the egg and the fat in the cream from splitting and doing its thing. Okay. It acts as a little bit of a binder, so don't think you can just get away with it. It's a very, very important point to make. So we've got the mix here, really, really simple. Just break it open. Our lovely creative Dex department has given us these lovely little pané bars.
They're super cute.
There we say cute, but it is very much. And then we just want to squeeze this. Do you know what? We've made this really easy for the guys at home, but I'm used to using spoons so much. This feels a little bit alien.
Oh, well, this is just a new way to cook, isn't it?
It is. Now the mix I've given you a tablespoon or more than what we would need before. So as you can see here, a nice kind of set mixture. If you want a really rustic tart, just leave it like that. I like to flatten it down so we get a nice little flat surface. Then you probably want to leave, you say it's about centimetre from the top?
Yep.
So a nice centimetre from the top. As you'll notice in cooking, it's going to souffle a little bit, but then it'll settle down and bow in. It doesn't mean that it's undercooked, or like when you make banana bread, it bows in, it's undercooked, it's fine. It's meant to do that, and it's just the proteins with the fat contracting with a little bit of steam.
Yeah.
Then it'll come down a bit, but the texture is glorious. Charlie, we've enjoyed one of these before, haven't we?
We have indeed, yeah. We had a good day of tasting, I can assure you. And it's exciting to see the transformation of this. And actually, it reminded me an awful lot of the Portuguese custard tart.
It's very much like that. And I started when we came onto this dish, and I didn't quite finish. It's a cult cheesecake. You know, our head chef, Frenchie, he's from south of France. And he said, oh, yeah, burnt cheesecake, it's French. I was like, no, it's not. It seems like there's a little bit of a war going on there, but he seems to think something that he had when he was a young boy.
Yeah.
And you Google this, in my research, looking at all different variations of it to, get the right recipe for this. There is some beautiful, beautiful recipes for it. But it seems like the cheesecake people don't know about. You get the New York baked, the English kind of set, the supermarket gelatine set, which is my least favourite. And here you go, number 4. Here's a new recipe.
Brilliant.
So that's it, really, really simple. Nice glossy top, that's from the honey, and that's going to work with the eggs, give us that nice burnt top. What could be simpler? This is the first time in the cook's tour, or any time I've said, listen guys, don't worry about it, get it burnt. So in the oven it goes, and let's burn the life out of it. So it works perfectly as well, Charlie, the burning, because you've got that sugar in there, the balance.
Yeah.
We're probably looking about 15 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven. I'm going to give that variance. I would say definitely a good 15 minutes. And then from there, you want a nice golden top. And it should just be nice. We're just trying to get the egg to set with the cream.
And we're going to be looking for a bit of a wobble.
We are, yeah, and it's a beautiful. I started talking about the flavour kind of balance there. You've got a burnt top, really bitter, really sweet, and then acidic kind of cream centre. So your mouth's just going absolutely wild. We're going to take it out. You can eat this warm. You can also let it set in the fridge. You can really enjoy it in many different ways. You can put a blob of yogurt on it as well for an extra sour kick. But these nice little jammy figs, have a little squeeze of that, Charlie.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're ready to go.
There we go. I know my figs. You have a little squeeze on that. It's got a nice soft jammy centre into my figs, Charlie. There we go. Let's leave those.
Are we leaving those? We're not going to squeeze those.
They're a little bit safer over there.
Okay,
so if
great.
you do have a little bit more mix and you've got a little bit of a bigger mould, then like a little bread tin, then do put it in there. But the pané bois that we sent you is perfect, and the excess in there, a couple of spoonfuls, was just in case you had a little bit of an accident. Always thinking of you guys at home. So we will pop that over there, and that's pretty much it.
Great.
Beef's ticking away, garnish for the beef's there. Just while you guys, I was going to say catch up, but you're probably wondering when I'm going to move on. It was that simple. And then the figs later, when we're plating up, we'll just go back from the start, run through and just garnish them up. We go on to our next dish, which is the amazing kind of pinchos tapas, which I'm sure you've got some lovely questions about, Charlie.
Well, I do.
Just before we go into that, let's pop a pan on like this. So I've got a nice saute pan. Now we're going to do 2 things with this just to be a little bit more economical. We're going to toast our bread in it, and then we're going to leave it on a very, very low heat, and we're going to go on to our mushroom dish, which we will use in the same pan. Okay, so let's pop that on now. That can go on to, I would say you want quite a high heat, so I'm going to put that on number 8 out of 9. So a nice kind of, we promised we wouldn't say it, we're not going to say what we mentioned. You've been taking the mickey out of me quite a lot about all the steak and the pan and when it's hot, so whatever, Charlie, you're an expert. You guys obviously are at home as well, in your professional kitchens, knowing all about the, dare I say it, blue smoke.
But that's what we're looking for, are we?
When the pan's hot, we'll get cooking, okay? How's that, Charlie?
That sounds good.
Yeah. So, you got any questions? Well,
yeah. Well, come on. I mean, the first question is, tell us a bit about pinchos. What is it?
Pinchos, my understanding from pinchos is, Charlie, that it's a pretty boring story. And apparently back in the day in the hot summers of Spain, but Basque Country mainly in hot summers, you would go to a bar, the gentleman or lady behind the bar would serve you a drink.
Yep.
And if you were busy chatting away, like I do very often, they would literally just get a little lid and they'd pop it on your beer so that no flies. I mean, I don't know why flies are attracted to alcohol, aren't they?
Yeah, they love it.
They love it. So I know that from my grandma as well. She used to put it out for the wasps. But yeah, they used to put a little lid on or a little card. And then over time, it was just a little complimentary kind of couple of nuts or some savouries so that you had a enjoy, good joyous time in there. Came back because you got some snacks down the road and not in the other bar. And then it just built into local ingredients.
Yeah, and I suppose all such foodies, a little bit of sort of competition, amongst all the eateries. And before you know it, well, San Sabastian arrives.
And you've got some classics. So we've done some classics here. So people probably associate kind of a bruschetta, not to be confused with the Basque Country one that we're doing here. We have got some Spanish tomatoes and a Spanish style bread. But we're going to...
tomatoes smell absolutely delicious. Or is it the garlic I'm getting from the anchovy and the onion? It could be both.
Yeah, it's probably a mixture of all, but the bread is going to be super crispy, and then you really want that big garlicky hit. I mean, Spanish, Italians, myself, I love garlic. This is meant to be quite pungent. You've got a lot of kind of like sponge in the bread there, and a lot of kind of like very, low flavour, which is just going to soak up by the bread and balance it out a little bit.
Cool.
So once you've started getting a little bit of heat in there, pop the bread in, dry. You don't need any oil in here. We're trying to toast the bread. And believe it or not, we have all these habits, like with fish, but you see people with salmon, throwing a load of oil in and whatever. We talked about it in the first series with the steak. You can just oil the steak. And it's the same, you've got to start looking at your food a little bit. This is a cook's tour, but there's still lots of things to learn when we're cooking, and that is in a pan. Sometimes you don't need oil half the time. You're literally taking into your diet and wasting a lot of money, things that you don't actually need. So when you're toasting, the original art of toasting came in an open fire. You didn't see them spraying it with a bit of oil first, did you?
No, not at all.
So yeah, great time, some questions. We're going to toast them up. They're probably going to take a minute or two.
Yeah, and is pinchos, is it specifically a Basque thing, or is it, because
I believe
Spain is the land of tapas, no?
I believe it is a Basque thing originally, and then tapas was born out of this. And you've got traditional dishes. So you go to Basque Country, from my experience, you've got a lot of snow crab. You're looking at the smoke.
Well, I just saw a little bit of smoke rising from the pan.
So if you look as well,
interrupt Ryan while he's telling a story.
You can see smoke there. It just says the pan's heating. There's no colour, and you can feel it starts getting a bit firmer. And as it does, just keep an eye on it. You can smell when toast as well, or when it's on fire. Usually is a good time.
You can see it too.
But you see a lot of bacalao, which is salt cod, piquillo peppers. Tuna, you see the classic, which I love to do here, because it's like this signature kind of vision that you see when you go to Basque Country, and it's pickled anchovies everywhere. And sometimes you see a nice little stick through the anchovy into the olive and then into a kind of piece of bread. So maybe we'll show a few variations how we can mix this up. But yeah,
that sounds cool. And actually with pinchos, I imagine, like with tapas, you can sort of freestyle a bit, can't you? Can you just raid the fridge and get creative?
Are you okay just to ring 999 just to have a little look at this bread? So really, really important. Do not fear. I am a chef, and we like a bit of smoke. We like a little bit of aggression. I don't know if the smoke alarms in here do, but we'll test that out and let you know. But as you can see here, this is what we want. Again, always looking for layers of flavour. So we've got pungent tomatoes. We're going to have some salty anchovies, some vinegar kind of pickled olives. Then we're going to have a bitter toasted bread. This isn't an excuse. It's not a lie to cover up my mistakes. This is what we wanted. So just hold one of those up. I've just turned those over. Listen. I don't know. Near the mic. There you get that crunch. That's what you're looking for. Nice little bit of toast around here. Toasted bread. I mean, to be honest, my missus thinks that I lie every time I burn toast. It's something that I do quite often. Yeah. But I like it. I love that charred flavour. It's really bold. I like spicy curries.
I've never heard such enthusiasm about
burning bread. Yeah. Well, I'll tell that to the fire crew when they get here. See how they feel about it. So that's what we're looking for. We've got some nice toasted bread, and then we just want to pop them on here like this. And we're just going to plate them up. So smoking as well. If there is any flames, just put those out very, very quickly.
And I suppose with these two very sort of delicious looking pots of, I was going to describe it as delicious sort of Spanish gunk, but they've been
Spanish gunk.
They've been sort of mellowing the flavours over time, haven't they? So in your tomato mix, there's garlic and there's oil and there's seasoning, salt and pepper.
There is. Now, with this Charlie as well, it's really important. You can put onion in here. That is a little bit more Italian. But in here, so the late season, I was talking a little bit about that tomato. Do you just want to grab one of these tomatoes?
Yeah.
perfect.
Or should I go for the really weird looking one?
I mean, if you're going in with these tomatoes, make sure you're all friends, because this is true Basque Country kind of Spanish way of doing it. But this is exactly a perfect kind of example here. So you got these gnarly tomatoes. That's the kind of fella that A, you would cross over the road if you've seen him walking down the street. And number two, if you've seen him in the supermarket, you'd be like, no, thank you very much.
So
Look
that
at this.
chap was going in there. That's brilliant.
In there, no, value for money. But the late summer, the weather's changed. You had all the sugar from the summer ripening the tomato. Cold weather comes. It's not going to finish up, so you get sour top, sweet, and a massive big meaty tomato. So late summer tomatoes, September, October for me are perfect. And that's what's gone into here.
Amazing.
Sweet, tangy mixture. There you go, Charlie.
Thank you, sir.
We've got some garlic in there. We've got a little bit of olive oil, and we've got a little splash of vinegar. That simple. So let's get that plated up. I've just had a little check on the cheesecake. Looks good. It's just starting to set up a little bit, no colour. So if you guys want to check it as well, it's probably had about 10 minutes now. So we'll just keep that going. So should we just get this plated, Charlie? And get it? I want to say get it out of the way. It's in no one's way, but I just want to see the beauty of it come together. So the juice in here, just pull the juice off a little bit. And then you want some juice. Look at that. Absolute dream. You see traditional pan tomato, the Spanish way of doing it. They kind of like get the tomato and grate it on the bread. Have you seen that before?
I have, yeah.
And then, but they get garlic first and they rub it and then they rub the tomato on.
It's very thin, like a spread almost, isn't it?
I'm a bit of an eater. Yeah, I'm a bit of a secret eater. I just eat and eat and eat, and I don't seem to, well, since I became a daddy, that's changing a little bit, but still, get in the gym at the weekend and just eat, and I like a lot of tomato on there. With that said, just going to turn this down a little bit. We said we wanted that pan nice and hot for the next dish. What I'm going to do is just going to leave that half on the stove on a low heat, so it's nice and hot for our mushrooms when we're finished plating. So as you can see, I'll try not lean over so the overhead cam, and you see as well, I've made these nice little, I don't know where I think of this stuff. Every time I create something, I want it to be different. I want it to be visually sexy to look at. I want it to be attractive. I want you to smell it. Like you said, the tomatoes, you look at it, the colour, the shine of the oil. Everything that you do when you cook, you can add and add and add. Anyone can just throw it on the plate. If you think about what you're doing, how you're putting the tomatoes on, how you cut the bread, so it's a nice big thick end to pick up, shallow bit to start eating. Does it matter? Probably not. But it's
well, it does a bit, because I guess it needs to also sort of, I hate that word, practical, but it's got to be a little bit practical eating, otherwise, as you say, it can end on your lap, can't it?
It is, and that's right. I'm going to I'll tell you what, I'm just going to pop that there, like that. I'm going to pop that there. I think 4 will be enough. Pop that there later. Could you just pop that over there for me?
Yeah, of course.
Charlie? So we don't need that one. I'll pop it over there. So have a little whiff of that. Glorious.
That really is sort of, the flavours of Spain.
So we've got here, so I've marinated these, if you can see on the overhead cam. We've got some pickled white anchovies. I'm not the biggest fan of anchovies. I don't know if we've touched on it in the first series. For me, anchovies are like when you're a kid and someone buys that mackerel from the supermarket. It's really fishy. Just really didn't sit well with me as a young chef. But pickled white anchovies, they're completely different. They're kind of like the Armani of the anchovies. They're a step up from the local clothes shop. And you're like, okay, cool, this looks good. I'm feeling a bit dapper. When you put these in your mouth, they're different than all anchovies. So we'll crack into those in a little bit. But I just like to dance a few of these over the plate. And the pickle that I put them in here is, they kind of come in a nice little jar with some oil. I like to take that because they have a good product, but you can take that up a little step. So I've just put a little splash of lemon juice in here and some of the olive vinegar, some of the brine as well, because that's, all these things are flavours. So if we just kind of dance a few olives around here. You kind of, when you plate this, whether it's just the two of you, you've got a few peeps around, you just want to dance a few of the olives. You want to make it welcoming when you plate, so just don't format it, carrots, peas, beef. It's a little bit boring. That's what my gran used to do. No offence, she made delicious food. So, happy memories.
That is great. It's sort of organically coming together.
It is, and just take a little bit of time, just kind of like rest.
Yeah.
A few things shouldn't like the anchovy, they'll just throw it off. And then this nice little bit of savoury, which is rosemary. You could use thyme, lemon thyme, a few bay leaves. Just want to pick some of this And just, you can't eat singular leaves of rosemary. People think it's a little bit aggressive, but you know, chewing on half a tree might be. But just a little bit of rosemary, just dance it over the top. Absolutely delicious. There you go.
Wow.
And that's it. Basque
Brilliant.
Country kind of pinchos for me. That has a really big accent of, you know, a few simple colours and flavours. If you walk into a pinchos bar, bang, straight in your face, you're going to see anchovies, you're going to see tomatoes, you're going to see bread, and you're going to see olives.
That's super exciting. Well done.
That's done.
Okay. Right, Hongos, hello.
Hongos, hello. So I'll pop that over there. We'll come back to that later. So we've got the pan on, nice and hot. I'm going to turn that back up now because I had that on a low heat. So here we go. And just while we're doing the mushrooms, really good time as well in the equipment list. Looking to Charlie, my amazing assistant, to remind me. I think we said 300 to 400 ml of cooking oil, rapeseed or vegetable oil. Just a neutral taste in sunflower oil would be fine. Pop that into, as you can see, I've got a nice little pan here. And just pop that in. You just want to pop that on a low heat. Take about 10-15 minutes to heat up. So as we're doing the mushrooms, the oil's coming up there. Don't go too harsh. I'll have it done in 2 minutes. Just put it on a low heat and we'll come back to that and we'll be a little bit ahead of the game.
Keep half an eye on it.
Yeah, so we've probably had about 20 minutes now on this cheesecake. It's just starting to golden up a little bit.
Good.
Tell you what, I'll just pull that out just to show you guys. So just have maybe on the overhead cam because it's a bit wobbly in the middle. You can see it's really wobbly and it's just starting to golden up on the sides there.
Yeah, so that's going to creep in.
It is. So I'm going to pop that. I'm going to pop that in. And just make sure that's all good.
Excellent.
Charlie, I just want to dive into that. Let's come to mushrooms. So, Hongos. Tell me everything you know about mushrooms because I'm going to give you an absolute game changer here, Charlie. You are never, ever going to cook mushrooms again. Maybe, when you're feeling lazy. But when you want to do it properly, you're going to think, Chef Ryan, he's watching me, he's showing me how to do mushrooms, I must do them properly. Yeah?
What your voice in my ear. Well, I know that this is exactly the right time to be having mushrooms, isn't it? We're sort of in mushroom season.
We are.
Gosh, you've got a whole melee of mushrooms there.
I'm going to separate these just so we can have a little bit of a chat. Do stop me after about 15 minutes because I know a lot about mushrooms.
Well, I'm going to test you now. I think you've set the bar quite high.
There we go. So I'm going to keep that there for a little bit of bits that we don't want. So mushrooms. Right, any questions while we're looking at these beautiful little babies?
Tell us in 10 seconds which each mushroom is. And
10 seconds?
Yeah, that's all you have because we're,
10 seconds, here we go.
Everyone cooking along.
So everyone cooking along. We've got here Portobello. Everybody knows about Portobello. Nice meaty mushroom, nice and flavoursome. Chestnut here as well, just adds a nice depth to the array. So these are
those you see around. You see those in good supermarkets.
These are cultivated, nice kind of meaty bodies, kind of like fatten it out because some of these will wilt down. We want a nice amount of mushrooms on there, probably on about 30 seconds now. Pressure. Wild mushrooms, Chanterelles. Have a little whiff of that.
They're so cool.
These for me, golden Chanterelles or Chanterelles. You get them Scotland, north of England. Absolutely beautiful. Bang in season now. Pied de mouton. So there isn't another name for it. Or I think people call it horse mushroom because this feels a little bit like a mane. And close your eyes.
Yeah, okay, I'm there.
There we go. So a little bit of a horsey kind of feel there. Some people scrape these out because they go everywhere. So you'll do that with a little back of the knife like this. You can just see how easy they come out. Now when you cook these little bits, completely edible, just go everywhere. They just coat everything. And they don't look like the most attractive thing. They don't bother me, but some people say they look like something that shouldn't be in there, so I just scrape as many as I can out.
So a bit of scraping at home.
Yeah, it kind of has like a little bit of a sawdust feel to it. And like I said, no problem to me, but when they do see a bit of heat and a little bit of lovely butter and salt, they just kind of detach. So,
but you don't need to be overly thorough.
No. So, pied de mouton. Now, I just don't know, maybe in this nice bowl here, if you'd just like to break that into 4 with your hands. Yeah. These have had a little wash. When you've got wild mushrooms as well, cultivated, they are bacteria, fungi, but they're grown in an environment where you can eat all the kind of bacterias that they're grown with. I mean, they grow themselves from little spores. But when it comes to wild ones as well, just give them a little rinse. These Chanterelles, so brown Chanterelles, a little bit at the end there, as you can see. Just break that off. They're rustic, they're from the wild. We want to be a bit wild with the way we prep them. Just want to make sure we don't eat any nasties. If it's a little bit wilted, as you can see there, let's lose that. So that is kind of like the little Ryan and Charlie mushrooms. Look at that. Just living the dream. So golden chanterelles there. These nice and clean, brown chanterelles.
And these guys.
The portobellos, and we just want to break all these up. Let's get rustic. So
it's such a lovely sort of ingredient of produce to handle, isn't it? They're all sort of fun and funky and great to touch.
So we break all these up, and the reason we break them up is so we've got different textures, different. Just make sure we're on a nice high heat here. We've got nice little textures, but as well we want different textures. We want meaty textures, juicy textures, ones that are lesser than the rest. So just crush those up. I think it's quite fun, you know, not like chopping things into nice little pieces. You just want to break that up for me. If you do see any little dirty bits as well that have missed in the washing, maybe leave them quite big, maybe into 3.
Yeah.
Just break those up. I used to work for a chef, won't mention him, fantastic chef, so amazing. And with the Jersey rolls, he used to say, no, you need to leave a little bit of dirt on it. You need to taste Jersey and velouté. I was like, no, thanks, I'm going to wash it. You can eat half of your garden if you want. So I never do that. And it's the same with mushrooms. Lots of people, Gennaro Cataldo, who taught me loads, used to go to Epping Forest with a group that I used to work with back in the day. And he just used to get the mushrooms and just take a pan, take a little stove, and you just pick them. Like, there's no washing, dust them off if anything. So I like to not leave dirt on, but I'm not too particular with mushrooms. Give them a little rinse, little dust off, and we're good to go. So that pan that we had on, just need to make sure we're on a nice high heat.
Yeah. Everyone just check your oil. The veal cheek, that's coming along nicely, nothing to worry about.
The cheesecake is looking good. It's just starting to brown up.
A few things on the go, but everything just doing its thing in its own time.
The thing is, we've got one dish going. We've just got to get the beef out and throw a few things on top of it. That simple. The cheesecake's going to come out the oven. We're going to break a fig on it. We're pretty much in a good place, guys, at home. The mushrooms now, got a nice hot pan. Our oil for our croquettes is on in the background. And it feels a little bit crazy, but it's not.
Good.
Woosa, stay nice and calm. No, it's good. So the mushrooms, we're just going to pop those in. Dry pan as well. You'll hear a little sizzle.
Yes.
Very important. You've got to remember,
no oil.
Similar to lettuce, are about 70 to 90% water. And we want to manipulate that water. So that goes in. You're thinking, is he not going to put any oil in there? Is he not going to give him a shape? My brother, sorry Wesley, goes like this. He goes, right, what do I need to do now? What do I need to do? And he's shaking. I'm going, what on earth are you doing? Like some Ken Hom moment, you know, with his little frying pan.
Leave the mushrooms alone.
Yeah, just leave them alone. So we talked about that water in the mushrooms. We're going to put the chanterelles in a little bit later because they're really delicate. I very often just splash these in olive oil and vinegar and eat them raw.
Ooh.
And cold
something
as well, yeah.
Gosh.
And they're really, really special. If you want to try it now, a little sprinkle of salt, a little splash of vinegar on there, and just try one. Really nice. Great with carpaccio and things like that. But those mushrooms, you're going to smell, Charlie, any second now, over, and you're going to get a woody kind of forest smell, natural to their environment, and that's the sugars. So the Maillard reaction, like we talked about with steak, natural sugars in meat, in mushrooms, in vegetables, like char in a vegetable on a barbecue. Those natural sugars start to caramelise, and that's what we're looking for here. So we want that smoke. It literally smells like a bonfire. We might be close to fire here. So we'll just have a little moment.
Stand back, exactly. You got your water on standby.
So the thing about mushrooms is we want to, if we move them around, it's going to distribute the heat, take the heat down, it's going to force more of that water out, and we're going to get almost like I need to find the right word. For me, it's not going to be a great texture. We want caramelised on one side, nice and meaty, all those juices on the inside, and raw on the other side. And that kind of quick. So we're going to just have a look here. And as you can see, some nice kind of, they're ready to go.
So
a little bit of panic in my eyes, just because this is a really, really nice. Are we going to be okay with this, guys? Yeah, it's good. Okay.
Panic in the studio.
Just had to check that.
Smoke is rising.
So yeah, there is smoke, but what we're trying to do here is char the mushrooms, and as you can see, sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Now in the butter that we've given you, you've got some savoury herbs, and you notice I've taken it off the heat, and that's really, really important because we're glazing the mushrooms. Can you see that, Charlie?
Yeah.
So we've almost got a really barbecued kind of charring. Again, hopefully the fire engine doesn't come, but I am a chef. I like to push things to the new level and cook quite aggressively. And by the time that butter that I've thrown in, once you've got a toasted side, as I checked, butter goes in, off the heat, toss, 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 all the butter's melted. That's it.
Simple as that.
Simple.
And by not putting any sort of oil or salt or anything in the pan with the mushrooms, they've actually kept.
They've
kept their shape, size, and
do you know what?
they haven't leaked.
I'm going to go a testament to what I said. We're going to go those raw because I forgot to put them in.
Oh,
But we're going to add another little texture on that. I mean,
new
look,
levels,
Charlie,
new levels.
brand new levels. Look at that, Charlie. I'm going to turn this off and promise here in the studio we're not going to have any more forest fires to worry about, the mushrooms. And then there we go. So we've got that beautiful savoury butter that I kind of rushed into. It all happens in a moment, loads of time to chat. What are you laughing at? The aggression at which I cook with. It's one of those things, mushrooms, got to char it. If you can see here, the nice kind of charring on the edge, charring on there as well. When you taste it as well, you're going to get kind of that char grilled pepper, sweetness, and then the bitterness from the charring as well.
Great.
And I really like it, and it's a nice way. I'm going to move that off because it's a bit of oil. Do we have any kitchen paper, Charlie?
Yes.
Oh, I tell you what, I could probably just use one of these cloths
Okay,
just
perfect.
to wipe that excess oil out while it's cooling down, so it stops smoking. So hopefully your neighbours are cool. I'm making a little bit of a scene here, aren't I, with all of this? So basically, really, really hot pan, absolutely pivotal to the mushrooms. They go in, they caramelise. Once they're caramelised on one side, butter goes in, toss, 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 off the heat. The salt, pepper, lemon, savoury is all in there with the mushrooms. Now, would you being our in-house expert egg
Yes.
cracker,
Yes.
would you crack that? We're looking for the yolk, please, Charlie.
Okay.
And I'll just have a little tidy up. Do you have any more questions, Charlie?
Well, hold on a second. I got to.
Come on. You're a chef now.
I got to focus.
10
on the,
things at once.
Yeah, I got to focus on the egg. So presumably you've visited Basque Country, and
Yeah, a few times actually. As I said earlier, been to Bilbao a couple of times.
yeah.
Been there with my wife and actually talking and doing a lot of research on Basque Country for this class to make sure we give you the best of Basque Country. I just can't wait to go back.
I knew it would happen.
we
I
haven't
knew it would
break.
happen. But before the cook-along, I had the foresight to have backup eggs. Okay.
I love this. The
So-
master egg cracker falls. I wouldn't wish you no harm, Charlie. You've done a great job, honestly, in the past classes.
Well, this is the fun of doing this all live, isn't it? Is that sometimes
It's live cooking, this is how it
possibly
goes.
it doesn't go to plan. But that's
There we
why
are.
you're the pro, and that's why I'm your assistant.
Assistant pro.
Assistant pro, thank you. Okay, right. So I'm not going to get too carried away with this one. I think I've managed to separate yolk from white.
That's perfect. And what I want you to do is make
Yep.
a little space there. I want you to pop yolk right in the middle. Everyone's like,
Right in the middle.
right in the middle. Everyone's
Okay.
like, are they going to cook it? Is it going to be cooked? No, it's not going to be cooked. This is a lion stamped egg.
Like that.
It's a tradition in Basque Country
Oh.
where I don't think they have lion stamps. So this is a certified stamp to say that it's from vaccinated hens. It's safe to eat raw. The eggs that we've sent you are safe to eat raw. If you're pregnant, if you have any concerns or illnesses or digestive issues, then take your own advice. But if, like me, you like eating raw, safe egg yolks, pop that in there. And the reason we do that, just like the traditional carbonara, I don't know if you know the way to make carbonara is egg yolks, parmesan, pasta water. That kind of all spins around with some cheese, with the parmesan. And that makes a really creamy sauce for carbonara. And it's kind of the same thing that we're trying to do here in Basque Country cooking. You've got those nice, salty, herby mushrooms. And then as one would go in to eat them, they kind of use it almost like a bit of a emulsifying ketchup.
I was waiting for you to say ketchup.
Mushrooms and eggs together, come on,
Yeah.
absolute dream.
Yeah, it's a cake
So
combo.
there we go. Beef's
Brilliant.
going to be ready when we need it. The cheesecake, let's have a little look at that
Okay.
now. Charlie, it's looking good. Have a little peek at that. Should we bring it out?
Yes.
Let's bring it out just
Yes,
to show
yes,
people
yes.
where we're at, because it's quite a pivotal moment.
Yeah. Okay.
So as you can see, we've got a little bit of a split here. That's where the cornstarch, corn flour that I said was so important in the recipe comes into play. Hold it all together. And the wobble effect.
There's a wobble, yeah.
Oof, there we
And
go.
you're getting some good coloration on top.
We are. So that now, when it bounces, that's cooked. That's where we want it. So it's all about the browning now. And this
Okay.
little bad boy here, this little speck of real toastedness, is a good sign that we're probably about 5 minutes away. It's
Brilliant.
probably had about 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Yep.
So we're going to pop that back in. I reckon another 5 minutes. And again, your ovens will vary. So
Keep an eye on it.
on with the last dish, I think.
Yeah,
with the croquettes.
croquettes time. I mean, this is one of those dishes that when you see, I mean, presumably in Basque Country, but anywhere in Spain, you just see it on a menu and you just go bingo, and you just automatically gravitate to it, don't you?
You
The trip
do.
to Spain is not the same. without
No, I think it's a big part of the whole experience with, like you said, going to Spain in particular. But the croquettes here,
What are different about these?
they're quite unique. So through the last few months, I've been really getting into my baking, like a lot of us have.
Good.
And I've had loads of ends of sourdough. So, as my missus says, Doverkill, talking about bread all the time. But being a chef as well, I have these chunks of sourdough left. So I've just been making crumbs. Don't worry, you haven't been having my home leftovers. We've specifically baked some bread, dried it, and you've got here beautiful kind of sourdough breadcrumbs. And I think they just had a real nice, again, we've got some toasted notes from the bread here, woody kind of toasting, and we've got the walnuts there, nice nuttiness. I thought it was a nice kind of like way to carry through. So we've used some of the same sourdough here, which is a Spanish type of sourdough, and just dried it out, blended it down, and we've coated some Ediazabel. I hope I got that right.
Very good.
Ediazabel is a indigenous cheese to the area of Basque, so it's a kind of like manchego, firm, salty, used milk cheese. So this isn't going to be like the usual kind of Spanish creamy bits of ham in it croqueta. This is a really simple one, really, really approachable, and I hope you enjoy making
quite
it.
authentic.
Authentic, yeah, and literally we've got a nice little kind of finger of the cheese like this, and then Bayonne ham, which is a Midi-Pyrenean kind of Parma ham. Dare I say, everyone compares that. Isn't it like Parma ham? Because it's the most famous branded ham, but Bayonne ham and Teruel ham, northern kind of Spanish Basque Country, Pyrenean, which are the mountain ranges that run all the way through the French-Spanish border into Basque Country. I've drove through there, absolutely beautiful. So you've got some Bayonne ham wrapped around that, finger of cheese, and then just egg washed, and then into some sourdough. So we've made it really easy for you. We're just gonna pop those in the oil, and let's go ahead and just test that. Let's see where the oil's at. I hope you can see that. Just pop it in. It's just bubbling really, really slowly. So they don't need a lot of cooking. I reckon another minute or so. Just turn that heat up. If you do have a thermometer, you're probably looking for about 170 to 190 for this, because you've got the toasted breadcrumbs as well. You don't need like a big tempura batter, fish and chip number, hot oil. You just need a nice kind of oil just to soften the cheese a little bit and crisp the exterior of that up. So I don't think we'll be too far away.
So if we're a minute away, there's a question I've wanted to ask actually,
sure.
and that is, why would sort of Basque Country is, and I'm thinking of San Sabastian here, why is there such a high concentration of Michelin-starred restaurants?
Do you know what as well? That is a great question, because the way we're sous vide in the beef as well. Yeah. The short answer is, I don't know. But it's just one of those organic places where it's just like, why do we breathe air? We just breathe air because that's how we're created. Like, there's just Spain is a real foodie place. You talk about New York, you talk about street food, and you know, in India and Thailand. Basque Country, it's just a traditional place. You know, it's European, French, very strong French influence, which you know is the big title of gastronomic kind of wizardry, and you know, they get a lot of respect to French. And then you've got all the Spanish flavours and lots of beautiful Spanish produce. I think maybe it was just a compression zone where there's just so much to offer that it was a nice destination to. You're looking at Arzat, Megarry, where I've eaten.
I was going to say a high concentration of good restaurants and also some really good cooks.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal cooks and traditional. You know, father-daughter numbers. You know, families where sons take over. You know, 2 3-star Michelin restaurants. It's an incredible place. So when the time is right, do get out there. We're there today, I know, but for the amplified experience, get out there. It's and get into one of these restaurants as well, not just the pinchos bars. Get into the hillsides, because I had a 64-course menu, which is mind blowing. I was there for about 4 or 5 hours. And for the moment I walked through the door, something happened that I was just blown away with, which was there was a smell. Yeah. And I said to them. For a minute or two on that. I said, what is that smell? It smells amazing, like cinnamon, oaky. And they said, well, the restaurant burnt down due to a fire that was electrical, nothing to do with the cooking. It's going to be a good meal. And we're so lucky to be back in a new restaurant that we burned the same wood that the roof was made from the other restaurant to remind us every day of how fortunate we are to carry on cooking. I was like, whoa, I just got chills up my spine just saying that. And I was sucked in. So the effort these guys go to, they really are one-off experiences. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, I've got a confession to make, and here we are on the first Cook's Tour destination, and I've actually never been to Basque Country. It's on my bucket list. I know. It
You
really
will
is.
be
It's
going
quite
after
high
this
up.
for sure.
Well, that's it, and that's why I'm so excited again by our series, because we are sort of going on a bit of a foodie adventure, and it's sort of a kitchen escapism, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to go and try all this wonderful food from all these wonderful sort of food hotspots of the world, and frankly, we're not going to be doing much else in the next 6 months in terms of travel, are we? So let's bring the travel.
Oh, we are. We're going to be at home, absolutely getting into our cook's tour.
Yeah.
Because we've got more destinations. Basque Country, though, for today. The oil that I've just tested, hopefully you can hear that on the mic. Just a nice little sizzle. In we go. And like I said, those croquettes. The reason I've left some extra breadcrumbs is just so that they travel and don't stick together. Make sure they arrive in perfect condition. You'll see there's different shapes and sizes. I do not have a wonky knife. It's just a real rustic way. It's how they do it. The supermarkets, they think that we need everything in squares and circles and in a perfect format. You go to a trattoria in Italy. I refer to Italy quite a lot. You see rustic kind of cooking. Oh, Charlie, we're almost there.
Oh, good. Good.
And yeah, that's how you see these croquettes. They're handmade. They're artisanal. So I think we're there. Those croquettes
How long do they take?
A minute.
Okay.
If that, you just want to really, everything's kind of cooked. You just want to heat that cheese through.
And then you've got some, is that a sort of a funky jam?
We have got a funky jam. So this is a really, really nice tomato. It's a smoked tomato. I thought it'd go really good with the fresh tomatoes, a nice kind of difference. So glossy, it's got a little bit of vinegar in there, some tomatoes, and it's smoked. Nice little smoked oil in there. So pop it out like that. You can get all chefy, spread it across the plate. If we're in a restaurant, I spread it across the plate, so every bit you get, but you get a little bit on there, but we'll just leave it there. You want me to get chefy, don't you, Charlie?
No. I love it as it is.
So we'll just, those croquettes should be done. So into a bowl, and we're just looking for them to be nice kind of tan golden. Drain a little bit of excess oil. And as soon as those croquettes are ready, guys, just want to take them out. You'll see as they come out, you get a real big whiff of the Bayonne ham. With it being cured as well, the flavour's already very, very concentrated. Now these are very bold tasting, very strong. Let's just turn the oil off while we remember. It'll cause enough smoke in the studio today. Would you agree?
I would.
So, hopefully you can see those. Nice and golden. Really delicious. We're just going to stack these up, true Jenga style. So there you go.
Great.
Beautiful Bayonne ham, Ida Zabel croquettes with a smoked tomato jam.
Yeah. Ketchup.
All my little chefy words. So we'll pop those there. 3 dishes done.
Great.
Let's
and
go.
it's good for those croquettes just to chill out a bit, because they would. They're a bit too hot to handle
straight
right now.
out of 180 degree hot fat. I think that would be a good.
Okay, the big reveal. Let's see.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Burnt
Well
Basque
done.
cheesecake.
Well
I'm pretty happy with that, Charlie. You got that bounce on there as well.
Yeah. And as it cools, does that set a little firmer?
It does. I mean,
Yeah.
I've tried this before, and you've been very fortunate, as have I, to try this in the recipe as it's grown to get this perfect recipe for today. And we had it kind of like, what would you say, warm?
Yeah. Exactly.
Warm with a room temperature fig, and it was absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
I loved every moment of that. So here we go. Let's tell you what. Shall we just leave this up here?
Perfect.
And let's get that ready. So we've got our pinchos ready to go, our hot croquettes. We've got our hongos with our mushrooms. We survived. Everyone in the studio survived. And we're here, and we're just going to break those figs. Look at those. We talked about those figs
So
a little
just
bit
more
earlier.
ripping and tearing, more physical food.
More physical food. Nice and jammy.
Yeah.
I refer to a lot of food as being sexy, and I get a lot of weird looks. Come on, what's not sexy about that? The colours, everything. It's drawing, isn't it? Do you not? Is it a chef thing?
It is a chef. I think it's a Ryan thing.
Is it?
No, I'm on board.
Okay.
Come on. So we're there. We're 4 dishes down.
And the last one?
We're gonna end where we began with the veal cheek, sous vide.
Sous vide. So let's play this really nice over here. So we just want to open this up, like with the rest, guys. Now, don't be afraid if you get a little bit of a welcome from a gnarly carrot, just staring at you as you open the bag.
So carrots in there.
There's carrots, there's garlic, there's chunks of apple.
Yeah.
Charlie.
Gosh, hello.
I'm not going to
Happy
stop.
days.
I'm not going to stop. Let's get that in there. This veal cheek is very special. The guys at Rocket, the team that I've got at the moment, I'm so lucky to have such an incredible team. Let's get a little bit of that juice.
Oh, yeah.
Oof, look at that. Glossy sauce, cider, Basque Country cider in there, nice glossy sauce. Would you be an absolute legend
Yes.
and just
Can try.
sprinkle a little bit of that apple
Yeah.
over the top? So Basque Country style dish. We've got veal cheeks cooked with some carrots, some apples, some garlic,
Yeah.
some savoury herbs in there.
And some walnuts to come.
All cooked down, some walnuts.
How's
As
that,
promised, our little gremolata is looking beautiful.
Is that enough there?
Are you after a job in the kitchen?
Ooh, maybe.
That's the question. Look at that. I'll put you in touch with our head chef. And there we go. Just a few walnuts now. Would you like to sprinkle a few carrot tops on there?
Yeah.
And this is traditional as it comes.
So what am I doing here? I'm treating it a bit like parsley, just pulling off.
Yeah, just nice little sprigs. And the reason is texture, sweet, salty texture from the walnuts, nice savoury, crisp apple to kind of balance against that rich cider that the veal cheeks have been cooked in. And then some nice bit of colour, replacing traditional parsley with some nice savoury kind of grassy floral notes of carrot tops. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Basque Country. There we have it. Look at that, Charlie.
Well done. Ryan, that looks super
It
delicious.
looks good.
Okay, come on, this is my favourite bit, the
We're going to try.
appreciating moment. I've got my weapons at the ready.
Here we go.
I'm going to have a quick try of something, because I'm sure everyone at home would like to tuck in too. Where should I go? Let's start with the cheesecake. Yeah.
Start with the cheesecake.
You see what's going on
Let's
in
go
there.
back to front.
Yeah.
Look at
Wow,
that.
hello.
Get a bit of that fig as well. Fig straight after.
Yeah, hold on.
Is it good hot?
It's super delicious. You might want to let it just cool down a little bit before you dive in, unless you want to have smoke coming out your nose, a bit like me. But wow, that's very, very delicious.
Nice.
Wow, there we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this first A Cook's Tour. Welcome to Basque Country. We hope you've had a wonderful cook-along with the master, Ryan Stafford, and myself. Please remember to post photos of your creations using the hashtag #CookWithRocket. We can't wait to see what you guys have created at home. Please do tell your friends and family all about A Cook's Tour, because in a couple of weeks' time, we will be heading off to Kerala. Give us a few highlights quickly on Kerala.
Quickly
Ryan.
on Kerala, we're taking you to a personal experience of mine to the backwaters of Kerala, all things fresh, equatorial fruits. We're going to cook some amazing, our power ingredient, kingfish in some banana leaf. It's going to be delicious. You're going to look at spices in a brand new way like never before, and that's all you're getting.
I can't wait. Great. Thank you very much for joining, and enjoy your dinner. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.